Alright. I'm not sure why we are outside. But, okay.
Look, the cutest thing you'll see all day. Hamlet staged by children.
What?
Oh, so it has taken root. What's taken root? As I recall, when we were growing up, this theatre didn't welcome kids.
You've forgotten, John. Come to the back entrance and I'll refresh your memory.
Wait, why the fuck am I here? Oops. Fucked up. This is where I have to go.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome, sir. Okay, I need to finish the inspection of the place.
Oh, these crime scenes always outdo my imagination.
The herbs here are Salvia divinorum. They have a slight hallucinogenic effect to emphasize the ointment smells mouse-like. I presume it is an aphrodisiac prepared from a Spanish fly.
I already inspected this part. I think I went through the door. This is where I was last time, I believe. I did that part as well. Why is this still showing here? Oh, wet handprint. There's a handprint.
Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set. Similar to the guests' robes, apart from the bloodstains. Similar to the guests' robes, apart from the bloodstains.
Would you recognize me in one of these? I suppose not.
Hmm.
The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me. The capital F on the key fob might refer to Fabio. Handcrafted and luxurious cufflinks. There's also a note. For my Fabio, Banchos.
Okay. Don't ignore the guests, Matista, and stop boring them.
How can anyone accept such behavior?
A useful tool for a disguise arsenal. This is a different ritual.
Okay, let me look at the case. What do I have here? Invitation from the idiot. Key to the altar room. That's where we are right now. What was testimony? Victim's description. Left fist was clutching the fabric. Smoking lounge, private room where guests can smoke in comfort. There were droplets of blood on the carpet. Dressing room. What the fuck is Matista?
A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood. The wounded person was here for some time. A bloody handprint on an armchair. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar.
Yeah, I think that means we got everything. Oh no, I just have to talk to him. There still appears to be a thing to talk about. I guess obvious in this thing.
Werner, care to explain what is going on here?
On nights like these, it's not unusual for some attendees to get a little exuberant. It's part of the appeal. Unfortunately, it appears things have gotten out of hand. Yes, some are more prone to bend the rules of morality.
That's murder. I doubt there's anything left to bend. Why did you not tell me immediately? We were chatting about trivial matters for some time.
If I'm completely honest, Sherlock, I've consumed a rather potent cocktail of substances. My attention slips and drifts. But I'm glad I thought to call for you.
You sent me a disguise.
Oh dear, did I? Well, since I found the body, Mr. Manchios has agreed that you can investigate the matter. I promise my mind will behave itself going forward.
All right. Pull yourself together, Werner. What is it about these nights that you were so eager to share with me?
Well, they're not always in the evenings, but they are in the shadows. People gather to test their boundaries in a safe and consensual atmosphere. Often with more stains than your typical crime scene. But that is the point. Who are we to judge?
I suppose that's fair. What a...
Well, I was invited as a special guest. It was a scratch for every unconventional itch.
I imagine you're reeling from your shattered expectations.
On the contrary, there is still spectacle, stimulation, and release, merely in a different form. I like to let life entertain me.
Or death. Mr. Manchios is the owner of the manor, yes?
And the host of Cordona's most memorable parties. He promises even the ugliest guest a partner for the night. And for the ones with more unconventional tastes, Mr. Manchios provides other services.
What a caring person.
You cannot begin to imagine.
How did you discover the body? In between guzzles of alcohol?
I was set to perform in a fecundity rite with Fabio and came to inquire further. It was a staged ritual where he was to play the principle of life.
And the rehearsal was unsuccessful?
Huh. Who knows? I found him alone on the altar, his blood dripping to the floor.
And then?
Then I called Mr. Manchios. He was panicking, so I told him about you. We left the room and locked the door. Then we were...
Filling time?
Waiting for you was stressful. We indulged in some simple comforts. Overindulged, perhaps.
Were you well acquainted?
Everyone knew Fabio, or wanted to. He was magnetic. Fat wallets fought for the privilege of having him.
What about the fertility ritual? There was something about Fabio.
Fabio was supposed to portray the beauty of life's origin. Flowers, oil. Not this travesty that seems straight out of the Inquisition.
So this ritual is not the fertility rite. What was it meant to look like?
It begins with a woman lying naked in a flower bed on the altar. She represents Gaia, the earth. As our calls reach a climax, Fabio enters and copulates with her. After he finishes, I stab her with a dagger. That part's just pretend, of course.
But the intercourse is not?
I did not expect you to be such a prude. Are you a virgin? It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it would explain the color of your cheeks. The fertility rite marks the start of our festivities. The principle of life is beautiful, intimate, essential.
Yet it appears that someone did stop it. What about the naked woman? Can you tell me anything about her?
Batista.
Oh yes, Matista. She's one of Fabio's compatriots and a performer too. I haven't seen her today, actually.
When you discovered them,
No, it was locked. Oh, that reminds me. It's a minor detail, but the first time I came to speak to Fabio, I left without entering, having been unable to open the door.
you didn't have the key.
No, I had it. Don't look at me like that. I was mostly sober. I suspect there was a key in the other side of the door, blocking the lock.
That detail may very well be major, Werner. Well done. So you returned later only to find the lock was not blocked.
Correct. After an hour had passed, I tried again and was able to unlock the door. That's when I discovered poor, handsome Fabio.
The police remain unaware of this tragic event?
Some of them may be hiding behind their masks. They conceal many things. But we didn't want the authorities to create more problems. Besides, after a few cocktails, their incompetence will have soared to new heights.
How do you know I even want the case?
I promised you relaxation. If there's one thing I know about you, Sherlock, it's that nothing soothes you more than a good mystery.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here.
Okay, so we start deducing. Walker was invited. The door was locked the first time Walker tried to enter the room to talk to Fabio. After an hour, Walker next. Right, so that's Batista. Batista. Okay, let's see. I think we know how it ends. I think it started here. No, he wasn't stabbed here. He had a blunt trauma. And then somebody probably carried him. This doesn't even fit. This one fits more, I would say. Yeah, this is like, was it the bad guy? Yes, it was the bad guy. Not Fabio. Handsome Fabio. Okay, we got this thing. And we need what, 2 more? Let's see. There,
Bottle
easy.
was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door.
Okay.
The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room. Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood. The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I know what happened here.
You do? I do know what happened.
I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Werner. Yes, he was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all.
Alright, awesome.
I know you can untangle this man.
Okay, let's check the mind path. Circumstances of Fabio's death. Right. Key remains untouched. Murderer had a key, right. Fabio was assaulted in a nearby room. The murderer cleaned their cell. Probably not. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Murderer's key. It's clear the murderer had a key. If I found out who had a key to the altar room, shrink the...
Yes.
The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who
Batista
had the key to the altar room?
and the
I'm not sure.
minigun.
As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars.
Golden
You
star.
can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry.
Gold stars. Let's see. Nervous guy with the gold stars. Will he be alone? He has some stuff on his mask, no? Am I tripping? Nice with gold stars.
Kurt Manchios, I presume. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
Did you know Fabio?
People are starting to look at us, Sherlock. Think what it means for me. A wonderful evening for so many good, influential, and rich.
I don't understand. Surely a murder would affect your reputation to a greater extent.
Please, isn't this why you are here? I thought you were a silent magician. Do your tricks and make it go away.
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos? Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo, in his opinion at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista.
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and What's that noise? What's going on?
What?
Please, filth. You're under arrest.
Oh. What the fuck?
Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologize for the inconvenience. Your Grace.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in his letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig? Ah, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working on the paperwork for that case.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
You must help me. It would mean a great deal to me if you could find any information about that day.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid. I can't go back to prison.
I'm too pretty for that. I, Santos Pinchetti, am a witness who reports a suspicion of murder at Mantius's mansion in Grand Surrey. During preparations for the search party, I heard loud noises from the closed altar room. Immediately, I thought of the sacrifice of a living being overviewed by none other than Kurt Mantius. There was blood on the walls, strange symbols, and a dagger. As soon as I was able to think clearly, I rushed to the police station to report my findings. The station responded to the deposition by sending a patrol while the witness left the station and went home. During preparations for the search, I heard loud noises from the... Immediately I thought of the sacrifice of a living being. What do you mean, like he thought of it, but he didn't see it, but he says that there was blood on the wall, strange symbols, and the dagger. How could he know about it if he didn't see it. That's suspicious. Is this Matista? No. Following a report from a witness of the city, claimed to have found a body to rate on the man she's married. It resulted in the arrest of multiple suspects. Fabio 20 local performer arrested suspects. Vocal. Had a letter of an insulting nature in his possession which had been written by the victim. Oh, really? He claims to have found the body. He's infamous for this. Carried a murder weapon, a dagger, and other items of evidence. He was invited by another suspect. Satanic part. Paid the victim to participate. Access to the crime. Matista, Fabio's partner and participant in the ritual, tried to escape. Resisted arrest. Found a book with a description of the ritual. What is this
Back
thing?
on track to solve the case.
That's it. We still have no information about the lady. I'm curious about the letter now. Can I finally change my clothes? Mind palace is ticking, so it means I should be able to do something. Can't change clothes.
Look, I found Werner.
You did. Okay. Who is this guy?
Good day, Mr. Manchios.
Oh.
I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Werner's friend?
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviant. Although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get...
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the...
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy, after all.
I need to examine you first.
Okay, let's examine this guy. Seems normal. Where is makeup? Sure. Rash from exposure to hair dye. Okay, trying to look pretty. Hands. Soap under fingernails. Doesn't mean anything. Although given the game, it could be that he used the washer. Does he have bloodstains? Quality polished leather. Lavishly expensive. Hides his age, yes. Stickler for cleanliness. No, hides his age.
You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
Okay. Water here.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true laborers, I see. Why did you invite Mr.
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me.
I appreciate...
5 and 6. Is that the lady? Probably, right? Batista. Batista.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
Please, I'm just here to ask...
Blood-filled bruises. Whoa. She's a slave, right? Yep, check the scars. Punishes herself for the past, dissociated from her body. In a difficult life, she was branded and enslaved while still a child. While enslaved, she met Fabio, hence their similar branding. All the scars are the result of her slavery during adolescence. She has a genuine interest in mysticism since she tattooed her body with occult Matista. Tries to get over her past, and the level of performance is to be an opportunity for her to earn money. Pragmatic about it out. Marks her body with ink. Nervous, blood-filled bruises obtained recently. Jacko scars. Burn mark. Old and healing cut. Self-inflicted primitive. Cool tattoo. Punishes herself for the past. I think this.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a similar branding on your body.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
Couldn't help but also notice fresh cuts upon your forearms.
The cuts helped me to forget my
So I was
past,
right.
to cover the old wounds and hide them.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day.
So she
We
murdered
managed
him.
to get on a ship and traveled here, to Cordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted. Someone else made them.
And Gio.
Some guests can't
Oh.
contain themselves. They even bite, sometimes.
That's it.
I know I can handle the news.
Mind Palace is still flashing. Anyone here? Nobody here.
What a bunch of losers.
Werner, are you all right?
Oh, yes, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go.
Give me the
They
letter.
require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in.
Of course not. Anyway, I find proof to solve the case for him.
Well done. If one has the... I wonder, suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island? Why not for me?
I don't
Why
like you,
not
fucking idiot.
another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
Where is the thing?
I can't follow you here.
No, what? Oh,
Let me
maybe
see.
maybe I have to first access the evidence, which might be somewhere else. Exactly what would it be? Did I pick up everything here? Probably did.
This area is restricted.
Restricted, okay.
Don't look at them. They'll serve us if necessary.
Where's the evidence, motherfucker? Santos Pincheri, I still don't know that guy. Decoration rooms 5 to 6. I think what I need is... Oh, where's the thing? This one. Number 6260. Can I change now?
I'm doing my part. You should do yours too, Holmes.
Where the fuck is the evidence place? Chief Inspector, no. Or maybe this guy?
Good day. Your ticket, please,
Oh,
if you want
there.
me to help you.
There we go. There we go.
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah,
The bunch of degenerates. Alright, let's go through this. So many things. 9 things. Holy shit.
An emergency kit for boredom.
What is it for shooting drugs? Letter from Fabio. Is your mind unsound? You can't control bitterness, not around me anyway. For me, it's too great a risk to ignore that kind of behavior. I can be, speak, and play with anyone I choose. I'm not another Matista. You pay me, but you haven't bought me. Of course, I'll keep all your generous donations, even though they hardly compensate for your last terrible outburst. I'm leaving you, although Matista will still be around. Fabio.
Not the time for privacy.
What?
It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone. A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner.
Right.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring.
I take it. So that's his. That's Vogel, and this is who? Is this the lady?
Her key to the altar room.
Yes.
A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings.
Yeah, she's into that occult stuff. Power of love.
That's not for bedtime reading. This Ex Libris belongs to Manchios Library.
From this occult book in Batista's bag during the arrest. According to Ex Libris, the tome was taken from a collection of this illustrations prepared like a body of a recently deceased object of interest. Draw symbols of Mars and Venus, then has the power you possess, the use and nature of yeah. Prisoners were going to be rid of the blood that doesn't allow you. Draw symbols in your love. While waiting for the resurrection, recite the shard.
The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room.
Okay, that's interesting. That makes her suspicious.
Werner's personal sketchbook. Thank you, officer.
Thank you, officer. Okay, let me check the palace thing. I definitely have some stuff to talk about with them, which means I'll leave it for later. So with him, I don't even know what to talk about. With her, for sure.
This book, The Power of Love, Blood, and Mandrake, what do you hope to achieve?
To learn more about the invisible strengths that govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night when Fabio and I escaped, I made him fall. I cast a spell on him and it worked.
Or was it a coincidence?
The universe is rarely so lazy.
If you say so. This is the letter the police found in Mr. Vogel's pocket. Fabio wrote it. Do you know anything about it?
I don't. Although I can feel Fabio's energy.
Do you practice occult rituals?
For protection? For fortune? To wash away the ugliness of the world? Sometimes to survive. I have the gift, and I'm learning to use it better.
Did you use your gift on Fabio?
I only used white magic. Love charms lately. Fabio became so distant. I just wanted him to be with me, but I suppose I'm not as skilled as I thought. I know I can handle the news.
Wait, what?
So, the police found a letter from Fabio in your pocket.
I cannot tell if it was truly in my pocket at all. Perhaps it was placed there later.
Well, that is one hypothesis. If it were true, then how did it get there?
No clue. But this night has been rather eccentric. Such a detail could have easily eluded me.
Indeed. Do you recall reading it?
I can't remember that either. But I tend to respect privacy. Reading others' personal notes is not one of my perversities.
Okay, maybe it was actually from the KM guy.
I can't follow you here. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I can't follow you here. I can't follow you here. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this.
Yeah,
Let me see.
maybe I'll need to find something else. Imprisoned vocal. So what are the things to talk about? Parvola. Letter from Fabio. Witness deposition. Gifted cufflinks.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protege and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith. I've no idea about that.
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just irritate. My rituals are a stage.
I've read this letter from Fabio. It had no addressee, but it was found in Mr. Vogel's pocket.
Werner? Strange. I didn't think the two of them corresponded.
I'm sure there is some explanation. Would you care to read it?
Call me superstitious, but I don't care to read a letter from a dead man. That's not something I know much about.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself.
Not a very...
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk,
I think we're good. I think I go to talk to the other guy, right? Now we don't know where he is. Ooh, that's a lot of stuff. So who are the potentials? It's gonna be him, her, because of the whole occultism thing. Where's the report? This one. at the station and went home. And we don't know where he is. Pretty much just his washing machine. What? What? I'm so bad. Power of love. This does fresh bruises. Why are these two things red? There we go. Okay. Get out and talk to him.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down.
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here.
So they're gonna bring him, so I guess we're not going
They
back.
brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to...
Thank you.
Alright, let's go do it. Along with his confiscated belongings. Where is he? I think I saw room number 7. That's Ken, that is a lady. There he is. He looks sus. Okay, that's the keys.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
Small note attached to the will says, "This is my helpful slug." Well,
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds.
just beast. The flame skin. And blood, okay. The head servant at the mansion, despite being employed at the highest position with the household, he appears to be poor. Yes. Despite having enough money, Mr. Pinchetti spends little cheap makeup hides picture on his body even too.
You are the majordomo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide under heavy makeup a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
I do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Lol.
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always Fabio-centric.
And Matista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose.
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a majordomo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love, cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a majordomo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard, and he pays me nothing. I feed on the leftovers. While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties, he paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship.
Okay. That is interesting. Let me go talk to KM.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your majordomo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him.
Is this gonna be it? What? Fuck. What?
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protege wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high.
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchos.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
You being on a bender?
Touché.
That's it.
I'm not supposed to know anything about this.
I have learned who told the police about the crime. It was Santos Pinchetti.
Do I know him?
The major domo of the manor. He cleans up after you?
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him.
Wait, why is it still appearing?
Please let me out.
Okay, looks like he's done.
Could Fabio have written this letter to Kurt Manchos?
Oh. That could be. I never thought Mr.
What do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchios. Clients who are in love are both a blessing and a curse.
But Fabio was here tonight.
Money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchios.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchios?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away.
I still have to talk about it?
I can't wrap my head around such a tragedy at my party.
I know I can handle the news.
Wait, so who am I supposed to talk about it now? Fabio was burning bridges with Manchios. Oh, that's it. Do I have everything now? Who else could I talk to about this thing? He's the only guy.
This letter proves nothing. Fabio wrote it to Mr. Manchios. It's time to free Mr. Vogel.
Do you really think I'm that naive? I need proof, not words from his friend.
Very well. Mr. Pinchetti told me that Mr. Manchios was lavishing Fabio with expensive and eccentric gifts. The letter mentions rich rewards and attempts to buy Fabio with them. It was written to Mr. Manchios. Who else was showering Fabio with luxuries to buy him? It doesn't fit Mr. Vogel's character.
Look here. We had a deal.
Well, fine, but you're...
Okay, so I talked to everyone. All clues. Right. Letter may have been for Manchios. Fabio Brook. The ritual was a cover. I have to go eat. I don't really think it's her. I assume it's not vocal, because if it was him, I think like since he was almost everywhere, I think he needs part of the mother's love. Murderer washed the blood from himself and picked up, so it wasn't her, right? It's white magic. What's that bother for him? What's wrong with the letter? Give me the letter. Does this even matter which one it was? Planted, if it planted. Okay, so that would point to him. The ritual was a cover. He was killing a murder. Means it's done by her, right? So this will point to Matista. I don't think so. Did it show about Pinchetti? Pushed to kill Fabian from his uncle. I don't know right now. I think I would go with this one. I'm still confused. I really don't know. I think like it's... So I would say it's not her. I don't think it's this one. Crime of passion. Sexual predator. Wait, which one do I pick?
Continue our investigation while I look for the papers.
Bert Manchios, you're under arrest.
The murder of Fabio did not have a ritual purpose, Mr. Manchios. It was staged by a man who wished to distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual, but he found the body, I believe.
I can't believe it. Why did Werner do it?
Mr. Vogel. He had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you plan. You put Fabio's letter in his pocket when he was intoxicated, didn't you?
You can't be serious.
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes or their fingernails. You are a meticulous person, but this murder was fairly traumatic and filthy. After you stabbed Fabio, you were covered in blood. You panicked and neglected to rinse the soap from under your fingernails. The devil is in the details, Mr. Manchios.
Nonsense. I missed it simply because of the busy schedule of the party.
Of course, a staged murder was certainly not planned. You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you since you were the one who wrote the scenarios for the parties. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
Early 60s.
who hosts the cream of Cordona's society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the...
You're at the twilight of your life. You have no partner, you have no children. You had feelings, however, for one man. That was Fabio. You loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. But he was also a free mind, was he not? He turned his back on it. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful, and Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched. So you killed him.
You must surely perceive that my sensitive nature wouldn't allow me to hurt anyone.
Fabio played with your feelings. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond in the way that you would have liked. You wanted to be loved, but Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was unbearable. You were passionate, and so you struck him. Once you understood your mistake, it was too late. You were afraid, so you staged the ritual. With such a story, you might be sentenced to a few years. It might clean your conscience, and soon the case will be forgotten.
No. No.
This is my decision. I'll talk to Constable Oswald to see
Maybe
what...
fuck it up.
I wish everything were different.
There's no fool like an old fool. Kurt, the evidence I obtained clearly shows that the quarrel...
Showing pity towards your own kind.
All I'm saying is that prison won't take much away from an old and crushed man.
Fine. As for my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were... The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones. Everything I've found is on the...
You're persistent.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all.
Good luck, Constable.
I got 120, so maybe I was right. Alright, that's it for now. Thank you, bye.